what comes to mind about how to think kind of creatively here is actually to go back to the root. If you're already a chaplain, there's probably a reason you went into it, right? You probably love people and you can tell that they're good and that they mean well and they're trying their very best to live their best lives. And when shit has hit the fan, it's the same. The same situation is on our hands. It's just a bit more stressful, you might say, or there's a little bit more high stakes perhaps that's being felt. But going back to what you know about people, whoever your people are, that has been my go-to. I've been getting to know my people as one for a long time. And so when we come across this moment when it's like, what do we do as Jews? How are we supposed to be right now? What can we be? How can we be? It is really a support to say, oh, we are revolutionary people. And I see that in each one of you. And having regular calls already on the calendar, like regular chavrutas, the Hebrew word for friend, buddy, or comrade, where a third essence of divine spirit can come to life when you're in it together with that peer who's really there with you, making space and setting up those connections and leaning on them when it has become hard. That's, I think, the special sauce of this role, is being able to tell that we're going to be in cycles of this hard, big work. And we can actually anticipate that we're going to need each other in the light, good times and in the heavy, hard times. And we can envision that. And as Mama Tuna said, we can be in that imagination and lead our people through that with grounding and knowing. A teacher of mine, Carlos Saavedra, says, wisdom is knowing how long things take. And I really hold that when I'm looking at the long view and trying to understand, goodness, what's happening today? Oh, this is gonna be a little bit of a journey. But as long as we have our good people with us and they know that we're with them and we know that they're with us, we're gonna get right through.
And I think you're uplifting too, like go ahead, Imama.
I just want to add a short piece. So I spent the majority of 2018 in the hospital, and no chaplains came to see me. But when people did come to see me, mostly doctors and other health professionals, some of the things that I discussed with my wife when I was conscious was, these people need implicit bias training, right? Like, because they're bringing all of the stereotypes, they're bringing all of the assumptions into the room with me at my most vulnerable space, and it did not feel safe. And so part of what I say in these moments for people who are not necessarily in spaces where they're clergy, but they're chaplains, is, first of all, we can broaden the definition of what it means to be a chaplain. Like that definition is the boundaries are definitely perforated. And so it's not one thing, as we've already said, but also this is an opportunity to sharpen our own political analyses, right? This is our time to do our own work, because whenever you're in that space to hold space for people, or you're being a chaplain, whatever you've been putting in is what's going to come out. That doesn't mean you're going to be preaching and teaching, but you will have a depth of understanding, right? If you have been sharpening your political analysis, your social analysis about what's happening in the world right now. And so if you don't know where people are and how they're talking about protests in Portland, and then you go and try to be a chaplain to someone who's been harmed by the police or the feds, what can you offer if you don't have some understanding of what's happening politically and how they were placed? And so I think one of the pieces that I would offer is that this is a time for all of us to be figuring out who we're listening to, how are we sharpening our analyses around what exactly is happening, and who am I listening to tell me, to help me understand this narrative, and what narrative am I creating for myself? And so when we do the work of chaplaincy, whatever that looks like, we bring all of that with us. And so if we don't have some well to draw from, we may actually end up doing more harm than good for people.